Hi everyone, welcome back. So summertime is rapidly approaching, and so is high school and college graduation. And I know when summer starts to roll around, better yet spring, people get into that whole job fever, because they want to have a little cash over the summer. So I decided to do this video because I have a 16-year-old cousin who is looking for employment as well. 16 is about that age where you need to start making your own little change. So I came up with a list of jobs that I not only worked myself, but some that my family members or some of my friends have all had experiences with. And some of them are seasonal, some of them are part-time, some of them are full-time. But I think they're all pretty decent jobs for your average teenager or average college student. So the first two places that I have on my list is Six Flags and Whitewater. Those are two popular amusement parks across the world. I think Six Flags is more international than Whitewater's. But because they are sister companies, if you worked at one summer and you want to work at the other next summer, that's very possible. You could just ask them to transfer. Six Flags runs a lot longer. Six Flags runs between the months of March and November, and Whitewater's runs along the months of May and September. Like Whitewater's ends right after Labor Day. And both of them start hiring at the age of 15. But just like with any other state, they do have child labor laws where if you're 14 to 15 years old, you can only work a certain amount of hours. You can't work before 7 a.m. and you can't work after 7 p.m. and you usually work about 2 hours per day. That kind of sucks, just to come in for 2 hours. And they offer, if you're 16 and older, they offer part-time, full-time, and overtime. And I actually worked at Whitewater's when I was 16 years old, and that is one of my favorite jobs till this day, because you get to see so many people that you know, so many people that you don't know. It was a really fun job, and although at the time I was paid a little over minimum wage. But if it's like your first year at Whitewater's and Six Flags and you didn't apply to be a supervisor, you get paid minimum wage off back. And when I was there back in like 06, 07, if you had good grades and you turn your report card, they actually gave you, I think, like an extra 25 cents added to whatever the pay rate, whatever the pay rate is. So, yeah, I was making minimum wage when I first started out, and then towards the end I made more because I got promoted. And you can get promoted to a lead, which is like the assistant supervisor, and then you can get promoted to a supervisor as well. Leads typically make about $9 an hour. It's probably changed. It's probably maybe 10 or 11. And supervisors, they make about $15 an hour when I was working there. So you definitely want to strive to be a lead or a supervisor. If you don't get it your first summer, try getting it your next summer. And a lot of people actually work like years in a row at Whitewater's and Six Flags. My supervisor at the time when I was working there, him and his brother had been there for like 4 to 5 years. And I was like, whoa. And he was like, yeah, because the good thing about Six Flags and Whitewater's is that when the season's over, if you whether you're a part-time or full-time employee, they will resend you a rehire packet the following February, asking if you want to reapply. The benefit to working at both of these companies is if you are a supervisor, a full-time supervisor, they will pay you unemployment until the season starts back up. That's for Six Flags and Whitewater. That's a good perk, the fact that you get to, get unemployment, and then when the season starts back up, you're back to your regular pay. One of the things about the park, which is actually holding my cousin up, he has dreads. They do not hire people with dreads unless you are of the Rastafarian faith. And with that, you have to also come with a letter. So if you have dreads, they will ask you to cut them off, or you will not be able to work there unless you have proof that you practice the belief of Rastafarian. They will not hire you if you have tattoos and you're not able to cover them up. And they will also not hire you if you do not pass your background check. And they also come with a 40% employee discount. And of course you get like little vouchers and free park day passes and stuff like that, which is good. But I do have to disagree with the whole dreads thing, because, and they just enforce that, because when I used to work at Whitewaters, they would ask the boys to tie their hair. That's what they would ask, just to tie your hair back. But when my cousin recently went for his interview, they told him he could not work there unless he either cut his hair or he could prove that he practices Rastafarianism. The second job is camp counselor. I've never done that, but it seems to be a really fun job. I know a few people who's done it. They usually start hiring as early as 15, and you watch age groups like 5 to maybe 9 years old. The hours, some camps will have everyone stay overnight for at least a month. Camps really don't last all summer. Otherwise, you'll be sent home. If you get a camp counselor job like at YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, Girls Inc., they have like 8-hour shifts. The pay varies, but most of the times they will pay you minimum wage, and some camps don't pay you at all. It's just like a volunteer work, which isn't bad to put on your resume. Another job is the Cobb Works program. Now, if you don't live in the state of Georgia, I don't know what that program would be called for you, so this is kind of like exclusive to Georgia residents. Cobb Works is a company that pretty much gets jobs for children and adults. For the children, of course, they have like seasonal jobs, and it's typically for low-income families who are interested in work. And they start hiring as early as 14 years old, and they offer part-time and full-time and seasonal. The pay starts at minimum wage for most, and the seasonal job for kids, it starts in June and ends right before school starts. So it's about 2 months of work for the children. I actually received a job through Cobb Works when I was 15. It was my first job ever, and they placed me at a daycare center. And that job is one of my top favorite jobs. I love working at the daycare, and I started out as a teacher assistant because I was only 15 years old. But then they actually promoted me to being an art instructor teacher because they saw that I was very creative. So I was the art teacher. As the art teacher, I pretty much like decorated the calendar for all the teachers at the daycare. Any arts or crafts they want to hang around the room, I'm the one who sketched them out, colored them, print them out, all that good jazz. So, it was a really fun job because for 8 hours I just sat there and I just colored, and I was pretty much like another kid there that I was getting paid. And at that time, minimum wage was like $5.15 an hour. So, it was still pretty decent to be 15 years old. $5.15 an hour for 40 hours a week. Okay, so the next two places I have, well, it can be different places depending on where you stay, are grocery stores. Now, grocery stores are pretty much like the easiest way to get your foot in the door as a high school student, to be specific. Where I live, Kroger and Publix is very popular, and I believe Kroger is, well, I know Kroger is nationwide. It's just called something different. Kroger has like 20 different names, but Kroger and Publix usually starts hiring at the age of 14. In most states, it varies. Sometimes Publix hires at 15. As usual with the child labor laws, you're only allowed to work certain hours. Pay is typically minimum wage if you are a high school student. But now in the state of Georgia, I know with Kroger, it sometimes depends on the area you're in. So like here in Georgia, Buckhead is considered a high income area. There's a lot of families that live in that area that make 6 figures or more. And the Krogers in that area, they don't typically start their employees off with minimum wage. Minimum wage is currently $7.25 for the state of Georgia. But if you were to work in a Kroger in that area, you have a great chance of starting off making just $8 flat, or maybe like $8.25 an hour, all because of the taxes in that area, the type of income revenue in that area. So it really depends. The great thing about Kroger, because I actually worked at Kroger, I was a supervisor when I was in high school, is that they offer scholarships. And when I tell you that is really amazing, because I'm not really fond of Kroger's employment. Like their pay scale and their union doesn't really do what they're supposed to do. But if there's anything I have to say that's good about Kroger, is they do offer scholarships for not only college students but high school students as well. High school students, they offer, I believe, $300 max a semester. And for college, they offer $3,000 for the year. So what you have to do to get that scholarship money is you have to do community service. And I believe not just community service, but you also have to work a certain amount of hours. I know when I was working there back in 2007 to 2009, I actually had to work, I believe, 500 hours, and it also had to do like I think 25 hours of customer community service before I could get that money. And of course you have to have a community service log, and you know, whoever you're doing community service for has to sign off on it. I actually did community service with Wellstar because I have a family member that works there. And then in high school, I think the community service hours are less that you're required to do. Now, I also believe that the hours that you have to work is a lot less. And then, of course, there's an employee discount. If you work at Kroger, there's a 10% discount, but it's only on Kroger products, which kind of sucks. But, you know, every bit counts. The next job that I have is the government, the federal or the state. Great opportunity. Once I left Kroger, I applied through my college for a government job. I worked with the Department of Interior for U.S. Geological Survey, and there they survey water all over the world. And it was such a great opportunity to actually be 19 and then working for the government. I mean, that was a great feeling to go from being a supervisor at Kroger to being, you know, in the administrative department for U.S. Geological Survey. I started out making $13 an hour. The pay scale changes. Usually it changes maybe every year or two depending on the president due to the cost of living. I mean, sometimes it doesn't. Like this, I think last year it didn't change. Obama decided he didn't want to change. But like I said, I started out making $13 an hour, and that was due to my customer service skills from Kroger. Not only just the U.S. Geological Survey, but the VA, Park Services, CDC, all of those places take high school and college students. They more so take college students during the summer. And if you're like me, where you go to a non-traditional university and you can work full-time all year, they also have that option as well. They have different jobs like hydrology, biology, science. You can work with earthquakes. Where I work, they did hydrology and biology, a lot dealing with water and minerals and rocks. Typically they start at the age of 17 because you travel. Also, you sometimes will be assigned a government vehicle. I had 2 government cars under my name, and they need you to have your license and all that good stuff. Hours, they offer part-time, full-time, seasonal, holiday work. The pay on the government pay scale, when I was working there, the lowest you could make was $10 per hour, and the highest you can make is 6 figures. And they go by grades, you know, GS1, GS2. I started out as a GS3, which started off making like $13 an hour. GS3 step 1. So if you work for the government, you know what that means. For high school and college students of any age, they have summer and holiday options to work and are flexible with your school schedule. So, you know, Christmas break comes around, you hit up your supervisor and say, you know, I like to work for those 2 weeks. Not only is the pay good, but they offer some of the best health insurance. I don't work for the government anymore. I'm now working in education, and let me just say, the government has phenomenal health, dental, life, vision, everything. Like their insurance, I had paid, working for them, I swear I paid pennies to get my teeth done, because that's basically what I had. That's what I use my insurance for, bump health insurance. I was more so using my dental, and I paid very little money working for the government, so I do miss that. They'll send you on trips around the world, all expenses paid. I flew to Denver, Colorado for training for a week. They paid for my room, and they don't put you in those shabby hotels. They put you in great hotels. Your flight's paid, your food is paid, and you know, I stayed there for a week, and I spent about, I want to say, less than $100 on food when I was in Denver. And when they reimbursed me, I got reimbursed $400. Because they give you about $50 a day to eat, and I only spent like $100 for that week when I was there. So sometimes you're overpaid back. They reimburse you for everything that comes out of your pocket. Parking, if you pay for parking, you don't even have to pay for parking. You know, if you pay by accident, they'll write you a check. So it's it's a phenomenal opportunity to work for the government. And of course you have a government badge, and for a lot of places, if you show your badge, they have discounts as well. At hotels, if you're traveling during the summer on personal travel, show your badge. Can I please get the government discount? Last but not least, we're down to the nitty gritty. So the last few jobs I have are typically ones that children take, you know, kids who are under 13, and that's yard work, pool janitor, dog sitting, and babysitting. The age varies. You know, you could do yard work my little cousin was doing yard work when he was like 8, 9 years old, cutting people's grass and stuff. That's usually when kids are eager to work when they're little. You know, they don't want to do it once they get bigger, but the hours with these type of jobs, you can pretty much make your own hours. The pay, you decide your own, but here are some of my suggestions. If you're doing yard work such as cutting grass, I would charge about $15 per yard. That's actually what my little cousin used to charge. And he was like 9 years old. And he would go around knocking on people's doors saying, you know, I was wondering if I could cut your grass. Some of them were like suspect, like, what? You're so little, you know. But my granddad had taught him at a young age how to, you know, cut grass and push the lawnmower, you know, making sure he was strong enough, first of all. So before you cut grass, make sure your parents know that you're going to be taking your lawnmower out your yard, and make sure you know how to cut grass. You know, I used to think that cutting grass was so easy because it looks easy. Okay, it is easy, but you would not want me to cut your grass. So make sure you know how to cut grass before you offer. Pool cleaning, I would charge $20 per pool. And I'm not just talking about, no, dipping the net and picking up some leaves. Like, no, I'm talking about putting the chemicals, the chlorine. There's a couple other chemicals because my grandmother has had numerous pools in her backyard. And I remember she used to have to, like, time them and everything. So it's not just, you know, picking up leaves or toys out of the pool. Actually, like, let them know, like, you know, I want to really take care of your pool and make sure that the water is secure. But once again, make sure you know what you're doing before you offer. Dog sitting for a few hours is another thing. Sometimes, you know, people may have to go somewhere and they don't want to leave their pet at home. You can charge $5 per hour. I think that's pretty decent. If they ask you to keep their dog for a week, $50 would be appropriate. Unless it's some type of crazy, you know, they're asking you to do like a million things, you might want to go up in price. Babysitting is very popular. Currently, when I get off of work, I'm watching my baby cousin, and I'm only watching her for an hour. So, you know, me and my cousin decided it's her daughter, but she's my cousin as well. Okay, that was so weird. It just sounded like I was talking about the same person, but I'm watching my cousin's child, and she's only for an hour, so I only charge her $10. Every time I watch her for that 1 hour, I'm only charging her $10. So I think that's pretty decent if you're just watching her for an hour. And you also have to think about your commute. I think about that as well because I need gas to get from her house to home. So $10 is pretty decent. When I used to babysit in the past, if it was 3 kids or more, I would charge $7 per hour and then $7 per kid. So right off the bat, you're making $21 with those 3 kids. And then you just charge $7 after that. I think that's pretty decent. Something that you might want to think about is get someone to help you create flyers or business cards, and make sure your parent is with you if you arrive. When you arrive, if you're under the age of 17, I think that's always safe that your parents know, you know, who you're working with. And like I said, make sure you know what you're doing. Don't offer to clean anyone's pool or cut their grass or, you know, plant stuff in their garden, take care of the garden if you don't know what you're doing, because that will make you look really bad. And also, it's good that you tell them, you know, please refer me. If you know someone else, oh, raking leaves, I forgot about that one. If you know someone else who needs help cleaning their yard up, moving junk, cutting grass, cutting hedges, gutters, you know, please recommend me. You know, my cousin, for him to be 16, he did all that type of stuff when he was little. Like, literally, he was helping people clean up their yards and throwing trash away because he really wanted money to go to the skating rink and to go to the movies. So, that's it. And if you have any more questions, please do not hesitate to drop some info in my inbox or in the comments section. Everything that I talked about, I was reading from my blog spot. I actually had it all typed up prior. So if you would like to go to my blog spot, kaysha.blogspot.com, you can find out more information about each job. And if you want to hear, and if I didn't talk about a job that you're interested in, let me know. I pretty much know a good amount. You know, I've had a few jobs, so I know a good deal or two. And, you know, there's always fast food restaurants if you're interested, so don't be afraid to go to those either. It's okay to start small. You know, you don't want to jump in with the sharks too fast. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.